Firdi. Yeah, Firdi. If you want to say it this
30
way.
in Australian.
It's like, that's
fucking
literally,
30, mate.
that's literally how I explain it. 30 with an F.
30 with an F.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
30.
that's how it's kind of.
Yeah, and you're Zoroastrian.
I am, yeah.
So please tell me, because we just talked about it.
Okay.
And I still don't understand what it fully means.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you my understanding of it.
Okay.
Bear in mind that a lot of it will be very incorrect. No, I think
that's what this podcast is
I know
about.
the basics, but then
Incorrect information.
once you go, basically we want to lie to people, and then after that we get into conspiracy theories and shit. I get how this works.
Right.
I've done a podcast before. All right.
I haven't. Really.
First time, and the last one too.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's an ancient Persian religion. I think it's the oldest monotheistic religion, Zoroastrianism. Way before Christianity, way before Buddhism and other things. I think a lot of those religions kind of, picked from Zoroastrianism. And then Persian-based, which is now the current Iran, which is your guys' origin.
Yeah. My people.
Your people, your folk.
Yeah.
And then I think around 1000 or 1100 AD, we kind of got persecuted out of there. We got persecuted when I think somebody took over Persia, and then we got persecuted. The people that stayed had to kind of convert to Islam, and the people that left largely went to India, which is probably where the biggest population of Zoroastrians is now. They're called Parsis. We went to an area called Gujarat, yeah.
One of my best friends is from Gujarat.
Yeah, and he speaks Gujarati.
Yeah, Gujarati.
There we go.
And they're the diamond owners.
That's why we went there, because
Yeah.
all the Persians were all merchants. So we went to the place where there was the most money, right?
Makes sense.
And I learned this very interesting kind of fact that apparently when we got there, the ruler or the Raj of the area, whatever you want to call it, he had a like. Why do they always speak poetically in these things? Because he showed him a cup of milk. And it was full to the brim, or a glass of milk. And he said, "This is where we're at. We're full. We already have enough. We can't let you in." And then he, apparently the Zoroastrian dude pulled out some sugar from his bag, mixed it into the milk, stirred it, and he said, "That's what we'll give you. We're not going to overflow anything. We're just going to make everything you have sweeter." Mm. And then the guy's like, "Oh, stay. Give us the money." And now we've been in India for years. I think we're very well renowned as business people and tight asses. And we've got a population of, I think, like 120,000 in the world, around that. We're dying out. And good riddance, I say.
Yeah.
Nah. It's an interesting story, but a very traditional religion, which, yeah.
Yeah. I noticed there are a lot of them in Australia too. When I was in Perth,
yeah,
I remember when I was trying to do crowd work, a couple times. The Indian people that were in the audience, most of them mentioned that they were Zoroastrian.
I'll get out of here. Of course, because you look like you could be one.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And you say, obviously, you're Persian. Do you say Persian or do you say Iranian?
I say Persian.
Yeah, so you would have said that, and they're like, a Persian dude, Zoroastrians kind of relate to. And I think the Zoroastrian population in Iran is kind of blossoming again. It's kind of growing a little bit. People are like looking at their ancestry and kind of going back to it. And yeah, so I don't know. They must just you must just hit a nerve. You say Persian. Because I don't know. I don't know too many Zoroastrian people here. Like I know a lot of family friends and stuff. And then, there's been a lot of people, students and stuff have come out and probably settled and had families and shit. And I don't know. Do they relate more to Indian people or Persian people?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I think a bit of both.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to figure out and it's because, so they call themselves Zoroastrians.
Yeah.
But you're saying they speak Parsi?
No. So the ones that moved to India, which is pretty much a large proportion of them, are called Parsis.
They're called Parsis?
Yeah, that's kind of how... I don't know why.
Why? But
I have no idea.
Well, it's just funny because...
I feel like it's just a misprint of Farsi.
That's what I'm saying.
Or like a typo.
Right, because our language for Persians is Farsi.
Farsi, yeah.
So where did Parsi come from?
I have no idea. I reckon it's that.
Yeah.
I reckon somebody just fucked up.
100%. Like just Indian guys like, no, it's Parsi.
It's Parsi. And like, yeah, we'll take it.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Misread it or like... It's like a doctor's note. You know how they like fuck their.
And you can't read it. Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, positive. Yeah.
And it's like next thing you know, you're doing suppositories in the back. And it's
it.
like, yeah. I honestly reckon it's that. I reckon somebody just.
So what language?
We speak good. Most of us speak Gujarati. The Indian ones speak Gujarati.
So it's mostly Indian.
It's largely Indian, yeah.
So you're not really Persian.
No, but when people ask questions about the way I look and the length of my nose, I have to answer questions, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I know a lot of Persian people that are family friends of ours from back home and all over that look like you and they're full Persian.
Yeah.
So that's why, it would make sense if you like. It makes sense to assume that Zoroastrians are Persians.
Yeah.
But you're saying they're mostly Indian.
Well, yeah, I guess so by nationality. But then we have our ancestry. And like everyone, a lot of Indian people, especially in like Mumbai and stuff, would be able to tell that I'm a Parsi. They'd tell that I'm a Zoroastrian.
Oh, like they would even distinguish between Gujarati and Zoroastrian?
Well, yeah, Gujarati is the language.
Right, sorry.
And also the Gujarati people.
That's what I mean.
But the Gujarati people, I mean, they look like regular Indian folk.
No, they look Indian.
Yeah.
Because one of my best friends, he's Gujarati.
Yeah.
And like, you don't look anything alike.
Yeah,
he looks Indian.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's Gujarati, right?
Exactly.
So do you speak Gujarati?
I understand it when my parents talk to me in it.
Oh, wow.
But,
so they're both Zoroastrian.
Oh, they are both Zoroastrian?
No, I'm saying your parents.
Oh, yeah. They're both Zoroastrian.
They're both Zoroastrian. They speak Gujarati.
Yep.
Fluently.
Pretty fluently, yeah.
But they were born there?
Born in India.
They're born in India, in Gujarat.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
No.
I'll back it up for a second.
Back it up.
Actually, Mum technically was born in Pakistan.
Oh, okay.
But I think it was like pre-border stuff.
Yeah.
So then her family kind of moved here.
Right.
I could be. I don't even know. I should know this about my own
right
family. Yeah. And then Dad was born not in Gujarat, in Pune, which is like
Pune.
Yeah, that's the name.
That's a really Indian name.
Yeah,
Pune.
is. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It's like Puja.
Yeah. So he was born there, and then like he kind of grew up in a smallish kind of not rural, but like rural-ish area. And then they both ended up in Mumbai, which is where they kind of, studied and became fully fledged adults.
Right.
And then conceived me and my brother.
You're the oldest.
I'm the youngest.
Oh, you're the youngest.
Two.
Up to same with me and my brother.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's older than me.
Oh, yeah. All right. You look the same age. No offense.
We're the same age? Motherfucker. He loves that.
I'm saying he looks younger. Actually, yeah.
That's fucking bullshit.
No, well, okay, fine. Fuck, I'll take
this
that back.
This is my podcast. All right? You tell me I'm younger. Okay?
Yeah, okay. You look like 30 years younger than your brother. You look like 12. You look 12.
Thanks, man.
You do have great skin.
Thank you.
So, yeah, Persians, mate. We got great skin.
You know. See that shit?
Yeah.
It's all that. It's the Persian gene.
Do you have a barber in Melbourne? Because that beard looks well groomed. It's like
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple guys I've gotten haircuts. The thing is, like, I don't cut my hair often.
Yeah.
So to say I have a barber is a stretch.
Yeah,
I've gone 2 times.
Is he a Middle Eastern dude?
No, he's an Italian guy. Actually.
Okay, all right.
Patrick. His name's Patrick. He's actually dope. It's called I forgot the name, but Boneyard Barbers.
Oh,
shop.
yeah.
It's in St Kilda. It's really nice.
Good plug.
Yeah, he's really good. He's actually really dope dude. Yeah.
Dope.
But yeah, like the often time I do get a haircut, I get it lined up, obviously, and it luckily stays.
Yeah.
They did. This was from almost 3 weeks ago.
Oh, damn, looks good.
I haven't touched it once.
I was saying when they fade.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it looks great. It looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
mine would be like within 3 weeks, it's out here.
Yeah, well, the thing is, because I don't grow hair too fast, to be honest. I'm actually very like naked Persian guy.
I'm so jealous of you.
You're a hairy dude, eh?
Yeah, very hairy, brother.
Like, how often do you have to groom your beard?
Usually, for where it is now, I groomed it probably on the weekend or last week, about a week ago. But
about a week ago, and it's still like this.
Yeah. But it was
that's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it was. No, it was.
It looks so clean on the other side. You know?
Oh, the cuts, the lines are today. That's today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
All right,
okay.
everybody chill.
Yeah,
everybody
take
chill.
It easy here.
The thickness is probably like 5 days ago. I think I did it on the weekend.
So
I trimmed it down.
That's normal.
But no, it goes pretty fast,
right.
And then it just stops. Like I can't. I really got to get it groomed to get a nice long beard because otherwise it gets like this thick. Yeah,
jungle.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's why when you get like a Middle Eastern barber.
Yeah.
It's not my normal barber, but they know how to groom a black beard. They know exactly.
For sure.
They've sorted me out so many times. But I have my regular barber. He's just a little gay Vietnamese dude, and he's hit on me at least 3 times, which is glorious every single time. Because I'm like,
Vietnamese guy.
Not only do I get a haircut, you
get a stroke of ego too.
Exactly. Yeah. He offered to massage me once, which was real funny.
During the haircut?
No, so he just seemed to mention that he also is learning massage, and he's saying
learning massage.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, I can come to your house.
Oh yeah, he's talking about a different massage, brother.
Completely.
For sure.
Hey, I took that as flattery. I'm like, I'll take that. I mean, I have a guy who does my massages who does it more therapeutically. So
right. Not in a horny way.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it was very flattering.
What would happen if you actually took him up on the offer? Like, you would expect to get like a happy ending?
Well, I expected that because literally every time I get a haircut, he's just like, "Oh, you're so handsome."
Oh yeah, so he for sure is thinking in his head like, "I'm gonna."
100%, or he's just doing his job really well,
and he genuinely wants to.
Because I tend to go back. Mainly because they're very cheap.
True.
But
well, that's for sure. Yeah.
I went for a bit too. I used to go as well to get this. Near where I live, there's a student barber, like a barber academy, which is great. Also very cheap, and really good because every cut they're doing, like they're getting it approved by their boss. Great. So I've always had great, but takes like an hour and 10 minutes because they got to get each step approved. Long? I feel like that's long.
Honestly, I think an hour is fine.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm used to.
Well, considering my other dude does it in like,
quick,
20 minutes and I'm in and out.
True.
Like an hour. If I've got the time, I'll do it there as well.
But
and there's good chat, but I'm like, sometimes like an hour. Sometimes it's been an hour and a half if they're busy because they got to keep getting, there's like one boss on approval and they got to keep calling him over.
Yeah.
And then I've just had renegades who are just like, you know what? We're going to have to fucking wait for him. You're good. And I'm like, I don't know. I can't see the back.
Right.
What do I want to?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Wait, there's no black people here, though. You're saying black barber.
Did I say black barber? Did I say black barber?
Yeah, you did. You said like the original barbers who know how to use black.
No,
black hair.
As in the color black.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You said black barber though?
No, I didn't say that.
There's no black people here.
But there are some. There are a couple.
No, there's not one.
There's like 2 or 3. There's like 2. I had a black barber before.
In Melbourne?
Yeah, I did. He's in Collingwood. He was great too.
He's probably African.
African black. Yeah,
right, yeah. Because there's no other black people here. It's only African. I've never seen Islanders or any other part of the world that's black. But
I literally met an African American dude last night with a mohawk.
With a mohawk?
Yeah, it was wild.
That's AI, bro. Because I don't know.
I think it was AI.
That,
I'm like, you're not real.
No, that's some get out shit. That's some get out shit.
No, I think it was definitely get out. He was. I was hosting a trivia night last night, and
where, at a bar?
Yeah, at a bar in Elstonwick, which is like near St Kilda.
I've been there. I did the cinema there.
Yeah. So around the corner from the cinema, across the road, around the corner. Great little bar, antique bar in Elstonwick. Awesome bar, owned by Irish people. 80% of the clientele there were Irish, and then there was this dude and his partner. She was Aussie. He was American, a black dude from America, African American. Had a massive mohawk.
Damn.
And massive, like he'd just seen Wolverine versus Deadpool.
Oh, so he's like
for the 3rd time. So I'm like,
animal.
oh, you're a nerd. Okay, I get it now.
Huge nerd.
Yeah, massive nerd.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, it's the best comic book movie I've ever seen.
That's like the weirdest archetype of black people, in my opinion.
Comic
it doesn't make sense to me.
You reckon?
Like, because I'm like, well, I'm not saying like they all have to be like cool and like gangsters. I'm not saying that. I'm
just
saying it's like it's always like I'm so used to stereotyping white people as the nerds or Asians as like the nerdy people.
Yeah.
Like, the Marvel fans or like superhero shit.
Of course, yeah.
Whenever I hear about a black guy being into that, I'm like, what happened?
But massive, yeah.
Like, who are you hanging out?
A lot of rappers. A lot of rappers,
yeah.
comic book fans, massive ones. MF Doom was a massive, like his whole
like Lil Uzi Vert. Like,
exactly.
All those those like nerdy rappers.
Huge,
kind of guys,
yeah.
It's odd to me, I don't know.
There's a crew who's like, they're like 3 older dudes. They're all like Czarface. They're called. They've dropped like about 10 albums. It's all comic book heavy, like references and artwork and stuff.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
No, I don't.
Heaps of comic book.
I'm not into that stuff at all, man. I don't understand that.
I always thought I was kind of, but then I think I was just lying to
fuck.
myself. I'm like, I'll watch a few comic,
Right?
Like, but I never collected comic books. I never read them.
Are you into history in those things, or are you? What's your main thing? What are like a couple of things that you're like passionate about?
I don't know. Like hip hop and music are probably a big thing. But
that's what you're really into.
Yeah, but then I start getting really like precious about it, and I'm like, I don't want to be one of those dudes that's like, oh, it was better in the 90s and, early 2000s. But I feel like I am. And I'm like, all the commercial shit is like whack and all the underground stuff's better. And then I'm like, I sound awful when I say that.
You sound like a boomer.
Yeah, I know. I used to be that dude when I started really getting into hip hop, like at the end of school and early uni days. And I'm like, no, fuck that commercial shit. Listen to underground hip hop and Australian hip hop and shit like that. Man. Yeah, so cool, man. That shit's like, and then I'm like, I think I'm like annoying. I think I'm really infuriating when I do that. Because you can't have joy then, can you?
No, you're just constantly upset.
You're going to hear the stuff that you don't like constantly. And you can
Always.
and you just have to learn to tolerate it rather than go, yeah, fuck this.
How old are you?
I'm 40, mate.
You're 40?
Yeah, I'm 40, baby.
What the fuck?
Yeah, brother. Yeah.
Brother.
I need to get my life together.
Cuz.
Yeah.
40 years old, cuz.
Yeah, man.
He's 40.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Damn, bro. I thought you were like 31, 32 or something.
I wish I was.
Fucking hell.
It's all external, right? And I think mentally I'm like still in my teens.
Still young. Yeah.
Yeah, but not like I think I'm immature. I think I'm just like
Did you say mentally in your teens?
Yeah, I think I just stunted in my teens.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
I think that's a mental illness, bro.
What? Or do comedy.
Yeah.
Look, I probably have ADHD. Like everyone in comedy.
Who else has ADD?
Yeah, we've all got
Make
it,
some
man.
noise if you have ADD. Just fucking tell your joke.
Yeah, welcome to Melbourne, mate.
That's something I don't like about what some comics do on stage. I might have done it before in the past, but I don't think I do it now. But when comics are like, make some noise if you do this, or who does this, or who does this thing, and then when like, because the thing I learned early on is like, if you ask someone like, oh, like, does anyone make some noise if you own a house? Yeah, and then no one claps. Like, it's kind of unnecessary because you were going to talk about it anyway. It's unnecessary and you've
lost them. But it's the other way is why people do it, especially with something like, mental health stuff or sexuality or gender stuff or ethnicity. It's like you will probably have one or a few people in the room that relate to that. And as soon as you get a woo, like you feel like there's that connection. But it's often a time waste because you may have that connection with a few people. It's like, just do the joke. Just get on with it. Especially if it's like you spend a lot of time explaining your identity when people just need to hear what it is and get to the part that's funny, I feel like. Because sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I get it. You're playing to the crowd. And I guess if you're emceeing, that's fine too.
Sure. It depends, man. It depends. Yeah. It's like, it is a lot of time wasting, but also no one cares. Yeah. Especially if you're a local or like, you're amateurs. Like, it's interesting.
I think people do care, but I just think sometimes a comedy audience isn't savvy to comedy all the time because...
Especially here.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I feel like people go because of a connection rather than I want to hear great jokes and comedy. I want to connect to one of the comedians that are on or something's relatable. And relatability is fine, and I think that's what most comedy is these days. But I also like comedy that goes, I want the person on stage to have been nothing like anyone in the audience sometimes, because then you get this new perspective or this new weirdo on stage. You're going to see something you've never seen before. But then people like to go see their mum or somebody that knows their mum or the character of their mum or their dad. And even when I do that, I've been told that, it's great you're doing more of this stuff because like it really relates to me. I'm like, yeah, okay, but also that makes me go, okay, I need to challenge people more. Yeah, I don't know.
What do you mean challenge people more?
I don't know. Hear stuff, my own perspective that they haven't heard before, and whether that's an opinion or just being a fucking weirdo, man. Because it's like, I think I get relatability, and I think it's great for comedy, and I think it really connects to an audience. But a lot of the comedy I grew up watching and stuff wasn't like, oh, that's what I do, or that's who I am. That's like, this is fucking weird shit, and I haven't seen this before, and this is challenging to me.
So, like what?
Like I hate saying it because it got really shit after a while, but stuff like Mighty Boosh was great.
Mighty Bush?
Mighty Boosh is a British show.
It's a show.
Yeah,
TV show.
Just a lot of weirdness, a lot of
Mighty Bush.
Boosh.
Oh, Boosh.
Yeah, B-O-O-S-H.
B-double-O. Oh, Mighty
Very
Boosh.
weird, very very.
What is that
strange.
about? I've never heard about that before.
It was just two dudes, two comedians. I don't even know how to explain this show. It was just weird shit. There was in the first 2 episodes they started off as zookeepers. First season, and then the second season they were just living in an apartment, and it's just really surreal, weird stuff. Can't even explain. You know, there's one episode where the main enemy in the episode is a giant piece of hundreds of pieces of bubblegum that's come together, and now he has a moustache. It sounds
so
really
just like
weird.
odd, like absurd humor.
Yeah, and then I grew up kind of watching Monty Python as well,
right.
of
That's
course,
That's
as
a
you
classic.
do,
It's iconic.
which is classic, and it's still. I mean, a lot of the shit doesn't hold up. A lot of it does.
It's completely random.
Yeah,
But it's so good.
yeah, but then even in Australia, like, and this is not stand-up-y stuff, but then a lot of people. There's a guy called, if you haven't heard of him, Sean McAuliffe. He's probably one of the best Australian comedians there has been. Never did stand-up, always like sketch and TV stuff, but incredibly intelligent, really intelligent stuff, incredibly absurd as well. Right. And, you know, and he's still, up to last year, has been on TV for like 30 years, you know. But then, yeah, with stand-up and stuff, you know, Mitch Hedberg was one where it was just like a...
So you're into one-liners,
yeah,
weird, like...
Insane. Like...
Insane
completely,
mental illness
yeah,
comedy.
yeah. Definitely very absurd he was. Like, and his one-liners came from a place like... Stephen Wright was one that I grew up listening to stand-up-wise. But then also, you know, then I strayed to listen to Louis and Doug Stanhope and those guys and early Chappelle and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I see where you're going. Like, you didn't really go for the more relatable, like, storyteller guys or, like, people who are...
The irony is that I got into a lot of the more bigger acts the more I got into comedy.
Yeah.
Because with music, when I started getting, listening to comedy and watching comedy way before I started doing it, I was like, oh, you know, this guy's just fucking like the main everyday comedian. I never listened to that. But then you kind of have to go back and go, you know what, you learn a lot from comedians. What do they do? Just bread and butter, plain stuff. And I find I still do a lot of that, especially when I'm hosting gigs and stuff, or when I'm doing gigs out in the country or interstate or doing big shows. It's like, you can't be that weird. They're not going to completely get you. You have to get on their side first.
100%.
And you learn that from some of the guys that do very kind of straight up stuff.
What do you mean, straight up stuff?
Just very...
Like clean cut?
Clean cut, or just
normal?
like relatable. Just like, you know, like everyday observations, stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know?
Like family stuff, relationships.
Family stuff, which is, don't get me wrong, it's great. There was a time where I used to be like, fuck that. It's like...
Yeah, you're about
It's like, no, you learn that's how, especially the guys who do it really well. It's like, listen, you're going to get a lesson from them. If you want to find your own voice, you can find your own voice on what you talk about, but you're going to learn a lot from every different type of comic, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, that's good. So you never like grew up on Russell Peters and like guys like that?
That's the thing. I did. I watched that special, was bashed around my friend group and stuff like that. I loved it. The first time I watched it, got sick of it after a second watch.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I guess because it was kind of like I've seen a lot of that before. I saw, again, it was like, it's great on level one.
Yeah.
But then it was just like, okay, I get it. You're doing the voices, you're doing the stereotypes.
Right.
And people get it. And I got it for a bit. That's why I was kind of like, I watched it once. And then it's like when I watched Eddie Murphy, like Raw back in the day. It's like, that was when I was young and I was obsessed with that. But then I went back and watched it when I was like in first year uni and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but then it was just like, I don't know.
Just
with Russell Peters,
You just
I don't know. Maybe
hater.
I'm a big hater. I'm a purist.
You're a fucking hater.
No, I'm the worst, man. I'm the worst.
You hipster.
I'm a fucking old man is what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am. Yeah. You know when you convert, like you're a hipster for a bit and you're like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
you know, against the grain. And it's just like
You're just a hater.
Yeah, then you're just a hater. You just become an old hater. That's all that happens.
You're just a bitter old man.
I'm like, great, you wear Converse Chuck Taylors.
Yeah,
It doesn't make
fuck
you
you.
fucking it doesn't make you quirky.
Yeah.
It just makes you an angry old man with probably
That's
some
it.
kind of hip pain, which I do have. You
Exactly.
know,
There you
lower
go.
back pain.
Yeah.
But but
look at you cool with your shoes. Like
Yeah.
I wear loafers, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What are
No
you
socks,
doing?
brother.
No socks. half on, half off.
Yeah. And
That's
then
how I roll.
Air Force One started blowing up. I'm like, you
That's
know
it.
what? They're actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
They're actually pretty cool.
But then you can't show it there. You're
Yeah.
like, nah, these are fucking shit.
Yeah, exactly. This is your construction guy.
Oh, they're here? Oh, fuck. Please don't drill, brother.
No, you can.
The trauma I have from this.
Yeah. Do your listeners know about this?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think whoever is like constantly listening to these episodes, they've
Yeah.
heard a few times in different episodes of
Do you-
us looking over it and be like, oh, fuck. And they would hear it probably.
Do you know these cunts by first name? You should.
Just Jono and fucking
Jono and Miko.
Steve-O. Yeah.
Smoko.
Smoko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't get to go out on your balcony?
No, it's been since January. Like when we first moved to Melbourne,
Yeah.
January 1st. Well, actually, we had this apartment end of January.
Yeah.
And then pretty much like end of February, I was in Perth for like a month, so I wasn't even here. He was only one here.
Oh,
for a
wow.
month, so I didn't even get to this place until like end of Perth Fest.
Yeah.
And then I only had 2 weeks with the balcony open, and then like they started construction.
Fuck that.
So like since March 1st, pretty much.
So you can't even step out there.
You can. You're like, well, you can, but it's like dirty and like the balcony. They're just like working on the balcony and painting and like there's like just dust everywhere.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like the bars, the rebars, whatever.
That's
So
savage.
anyway, whatever. No one gives a
right.
fuck about that. But
Yeah.
you've been doing comedy for how long?
Damn. End of 2012, I did my first gig.
Oh, so it's been a while.
So it's 12, almost coming up to 12 years. But then the first year I kind of just did dribs and drabs. But then I did my first kind of split show at the end of 2013, or Melbourne Fringe 2013.
Oh, nice.
And then I did a show the next year, and I didn't do full shows for like 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I did my first solo in 2019, so like almost 7 years in, and then I've done three solos during festivals, and I don't know what I'm doing now.
Like, you're not doing this full time.
I mean, I am in theory.
Oh, you
I'm
are.
doing this. I do a little bit of acting.
Oh, so you're an actor too. You have an actor face.
Yeah, but when I do acting, it's kind of like, I've done a lot of ads, and I've done bit parts on TV stuff here and there.
Made the quota.
Yeah,
Diversity quota.
definitely, brother. Definitely. I've been wedged into so many roles I do and
You
do
don't
not
even
belong
need
in.
skills, bro.
No, not at all.
No,
Not
just
at
like,
all.
he
It's
kind
like,
of looks like he's not from like.
yeah, it's like an ambiguous ethnicity.
Yeah.
Let's wedge him in somewhere.
Yeah, he looks like his answers are probably like little refugees, maybe some immigrants.
Exactly.
They
And if we
eat rice with pita.
And if we need him to talk, like people can understand him. So let's just chuck him in. Yeah, he's
but
good.
they have to think for a few seconds to see if he's actually like speaking English or not. Like,
yeah, pretty much. They have to
gives us
wait.
the vibe
Yeah.
that he speaks a different language.
Yeah, and is he polite? Yeah, no, he's polite. Let's let him in. Let him in. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
he uses spices in his food.
I've been wedged into a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But then I've been wedged
Milking it. Were you milking it?
Oh yeah, at first I'm like, oh come on, man. But then like obviously ads pay a shitload of money.
Like, oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, whatever.
You're like, yeah, no, I can do this.
Okay, thank
for
you
sure,
very much.
yeah.
Yes, thank you. Sorry,
Change it up.
which convenience store do you want me to work at? Yeah, sure.
Do you want me to make kebab? I can do that for you. Yes. No, I can do kebab today.
Kebab, yeah.
Tomorrow I can be convenient.
Oh man, I could do that. I haven't had to do an accent yet. I've had auditions with an accent, but I'm like, oh bro, I need to land it. I need to land a role. The weird thing is, the only feedback I've got with an Indian accent is people are like, you sound like you're putting it on.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
And I'm like, what?
My ancestors.
Well, I kind of am, but like, I'm also not. Like,
No.
you know, I don't know.
That's racist.
It is pretty racist.
You have to just say, that's racist.
That's racist. That is
That's
racist.
racist.
Casting
You can't
agents
say
out
that to
there-
me.
No, he can't. Please, anyway, please hire me.
please
I'm very
book him.
well. I'm
he
very
needs money. He needs fame. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Please,
In
I
Australia.
need to blow up somehow.
Not to blow up that way. No.
Yeah. Oh,
Don't worry.
yeah. Put a warning over this podcast, brother.
Oh, my throat.
Ah,
If you're watching,
Dead
if you're
yet.
confused on why I keep coughing, I'm getting over a 10-day sickness right now.
you've barely coughed though. You've done well.
It was like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, 3 or
That's-
4
that's
times.
quite
That's not too
enough
bad.
times.
I was expecting a coughing fit and a sneezing fit,
That's coming.
and then you just shit yourself and start crying.
That's at the end, actually.
Yeah, okay. That's how this podcast closes.
That's
Yeah.
usually how it ends.
Mm.
No, but it's wild. We were talking about like being sick too, and like, so I take care of my health a lot more than I used to.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I used to be a much bigger guy. And I talk about this all the time on podcasts, or just in general. I always talk about it, but I think it's important to always keep on top of mind, because it's just interesting to note, because before this sickness, like I rarely get sick. Like last time I was sick was during COVID years, like the first year.
Yeah.
And I was sick for like 5 days, and I got over it right away.
Nothing. Yeah.
This has been like it's been 10 days.
Yeah.
And I still feel the remnants of it, and it's still lingering.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's Australia.
That's a sign for you to get out of this.
It's
city.
a sign. They're like, get the fuck out of our country, mate.
Do you get allergies? Do you like
No,
have
never.
hay fever and stuff like
Never.
that?
I've
No.
never gotten allergies. Knock on wood.
I feel like, touch wood, like it's bad here. I've known a lot of people, especially like where I live, where people haven't had. Where I live, I've developed hay fever in like the few years that I've lived there.
What's hay fever?
Which is like, I don't know another word for it, but
It just
pollen, allergies to pollen.
It just reminds me of like a barn with like hay and
Yeah,
horses.
rolling around in the hay, yeah.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah, and I've got sick that way. I live in a barn.
This guy's just sleeping with the horses?
Yeah, I mean, not in that way, but also
Yeah.
in that way.
Well,
actually,
you have to
definitely
ride
that
to go
way.
get your food with the horse? You know?
No, true. I
Like
did.
your
I
ancestors?
can't deny it, because last year I did a whole 15-minute bit in my show about how horses are the sexiest animals.
It's kind of wild, man.
Did a PowerPoint slide too.
It's really absurd.
Yeah, it was insane. It was so
Yeah.
much fun.
I can see your influence of comedy now.
Yeah, it turned a lot of people off. Don't get me
I'd
wrong.
assume so.
I did it. So there's a couple of dudes in Melbourne who do from Melbourne, but they're pretty much touring this show around all the festivals in Edinburgh, where they do a late night PowerPoint show. So they get like 4 comics on that do like a 10-minute comedy PowerPoint presentation.
This is a show?
It's a show, and it sells out. It's nuts.
What?
Yeah.
They do there's 4 comics,
Yeah.
and they do 10-minute PowerPoints.
Yeah.
About what?
Anything, as long
mean?
as it's funny.
Like
Anything,
they just
whatever.
like they just make up like a thing
Whatever
to do a
stuff.
PowerPoint on?
Yeah. It's
What?
crazy. It's so much fun. It sells out. The guys are Sweeney Preston and
Sweeney
Ethan
what?
Kavanagh. They're the 2 guys that host it.
They're called 20 Preston?
Sweeney
Oh,
Preston,
Sweeney. I heard.
Ethan Kavanagh. They're in Edinburgh at the moment. Lovely fellas, and they host this gig. Insane. Like every festival, it like sells out or does massively. And like I've been slack with them, because every time I've done it, I've done the same sexy horses, ugly animals, presentation, and then
Prezzo.
Prezzo.
Is so Aussie.
It's real
Prezzo.
funny.
Prezzo.
Ugly horse. So I hate that sometimes, because that's the first thing people notice, and I'm like, I talk like that too.
So Aussie.
I might as well do that with a Middle Eastern accent too.
How would you do it?
The Prezzo. I don't know. There's no. I need a fuck.
Prezzo.
Open the PowerPoint Prezzo.
Yeah,
the present.
the PowerPoint Prezzo.
The PowerPoint Prezzo, if you just turn it on, I've got some ideas and some charts and graphs for you to watch on this Prezzo. Some chartos and graphos.
Kind of sounds Russian.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
sorry.
okay, it's close.
It's close enough. I was going for an Egyptian and I went Russian.
Oh, okay. Well, the key to Egyptian is to replace
it
the P's with the B's.
Bees, yeah.
And then the...
PowerPoint.
Yeah, PowerPoint. Yes.
PowerPoint. Yeah.
Like, you have to like hit the T's to a PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
Like
yeah.
very like...
Okay.
It's like distinct.
PowerPoint presentation.
PowerPoint presentation.
PowerPoint.
It's almost like
Ha.
they're like mumbling. Like they're not really like they don't really like open their mouth.
So
Open that
just
mouth.
like-
Just
Yes,
very,
the direct eye
very
contact.
direct like this.
PowerPoint
Then
presentation.
you have to just try to put the flavor
Yeah.
on the bita, and then you shoot.
Just shoot and let it out.
That's it. You
Just
go.
a
You just go.
PowerPoint
You travel.
presentation.
You travel. You go.
Yeah. No.
No,
okay,
Habib, don't worry,
No,
don't
Habib,
worry.
don't worry. Oh,
No,
God.
Habibi, don't worry.
Don't
Like,
worry
it's
about it,
very-
Habib.
It's very just.
It's like yeah, it's almost like you overly focused. It's like they all have ADHD and just
Yeah, they're
hyper
just
focused on one thing.
What do you want? You want tabbouleh? You want
tabbouleh,
onion?
You want some hummus on it?
Okay, which one? Garlic or hummus? Hey,
There's no
which
thinking.
one you want?
There's no thinking. You can't wait in there, can you?
there's so much pressure.
Yeah.
I love doing it because it's so real.
Yeah.
When you go to a kebab shop or like shawarma, we have shawarma back home. It's always the same. It's the same person
Yeah, it is.
every time. Okay, hey, what do you want?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
when I don't
Well,
know
you
which
want
one's
this?
better. Don't ever ask for recommendations. Never ask for
No,
recommendations.
no.
Like,
You just have to know what you
Yeah.
want. Chicken or beef, huh?
yeah, which sauce is better? All good.
What?
sauce is
What?
good? Which one is good?
What?
All good. Yeah, chili is good. You want hummus? Hummus also good. Barbecue is good.
No, don't do it. Garlic.
Garlic.
No, like even if you ask garlic,
Hey, garlic?
hey, which size is your best garlic? You want garlic?
You want cheese?
No cheese. Oh, it's so funny, man.
You haven't had
I
a
love
halal
that
snack pack? Yeah.
halal snack, HSP.
HSP.
So I don't understand the fuck's going on in Australia. You guys are completely backwards from everywhere else in the
Mate,
world.
it's a different country.
It's a different planet.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's literally a prisoner's island.
I mean, it was.
It still is.
Now it's an immigrant's island.
Legit.
It is.
Fucking. So is Canada though.
Especially
Canada's
Melbourne.
pure, and France. France is fucked.
Yeah.
But
I think they should send every single immigrant back to every country that we all came
100%.
from.
I agree.
All of us should go back.
Yeah.
You know, purest countries again. That's what we want.
That's true. I mean, there are some still. Like, obviously, there's plenty of purist countries still.
Like which ones?
I don't know. I mean, like
Which white Anglo
Anglo
countries
country?
aren't heavy on immigration?
like Denmark, like
Isn't that
the Scandinavian countries? Like, they don't
No,
think they have like black people.
Sweden has heaps of Arabs and Turkish. All of them,
Oh, true,
heaps of
sorry.
Turkish people have
You're right.
gone over.
Yeah,
and
there
then
are a lot
also
of
Middle
Persians
Eastern.
actually.
Yeah.
A lot of Persians in Sweden,
Yeah.
Denmark, and Norway. Actually.
Yeah,
a lot of
like,
Norway. Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, it's a good point.
One of my mates was saying the best like kebabs that he's had in his life were in Sweden.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
We went to Germany.
Yeah.
Germany is the best. Still to this day, some of the best
Middle Eastern.
shawarma I've ever had in my life.
Ah, the Mecca.
It was
that
Turkish.
place, yeah.
There's a lot of Turks in Germany.
Yeah, heaps. Yeah.
Bro, the Turkish, the food, bro. I don't know what it was. Like the wrap that we had, slapped. It was
Yeah.
crazy. But
yeah.
I think you guys don't have. There's no shawarma in Australia. It's just
It's kebabs or kebabs or
Kebab.
which is whatever we call kebabs, which is probably not what the kebabs are. Like
Well-
real kebabs is just the meat. It's just
Well,
the
it's a thick cut. It's like a thick
Yeah.
piece of like stick meat.
yeah. So you go to an actual Lebanese restaurant, and you
Right,
bring
it's
kebabs.
real
It's
kebab.
meat on a stick, not
Exactly.
the wrap.
Not yeah.
Whereas the wrap here is either a kebab or or a souvlaki, which is the Greek one,
Right. It's a gyro.
which is a gyro. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the same thing. Because I think a souvlaki, again, technically, I'm most likely wrong here, but I think it's the open one, where you get the meat and then the bread on the side.
Well, you can have both. They do souvlaki wraps.
Yeah,
Sorry, they actually don't do souvlaki wraps. I don't think that's a thing.
here
But gyro, which is the lamb.
in
In
Canada.
Greeks. For
Wait,
the Greek wraps.
Yeah, yeah.
They're called gyros.
Yeah, so
That's wrapped.
yeah.
But chicken souvlaki is always a plate. It's like a dinner plate.
Oh no, it's mixed. Like if I said a souvlaki at a souvlaki joint, they'd give it in a wrap.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they do also.
But
do
in a
that.
takeaway joint, but in a restaurant, if it's sit down, they'll probably ask you open.
It's
or
usually
closed.
always just like on the side.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, HSP, and I'm fucking saying HSP.
yeah.
Also, I don't know why you guys say H, but
I say H. I speak the
H.
Queen's English. I say H.
HSP.
HSP.
It's different from back home. Like we have shawarma. So
What is shawarma? Educate me.
shawarma is like you guys have the pits here too,
Yeah.
like the kebab shops, right?
Yeah.
I watch a lot of Spanian. You know Spanian? You know Spanian, right?
Yeah, I know him.
Hey, bro, cuz. Wow, cuz.
I want to be infuriated by him.
Why?
But then I watch him for like 5 minutes. And I'm like,
He's
this
likable.
is fascinating to watch. It's so fascinating.
His accent is my favorite Aussie version of accent.
What's
I've ever
real
heard.
funny is that he's super Christian, like
Yeah, he's
religious,
very religious, yeah.
like very religious. And then I don't know, it doesn't mix, which is what really fascinates
What do
me.
you mean it doesn't mix?
I feel like obviously with his past, because he's
Yeah,
had like a
he's-
massive criminal past or
true.
whatever.
Yeah.
But then I watch his like
Vlogs,
his
the food
travel
vlogs?
vlogs
Yeah.
occasionally, or they pop up on my algorithm. And like, there's like a joy of a little kid in
So
like a
joy.
ghetto, and I'm like,
Yeah.
far out.
He's like,
it's
oh guys, hey, how's it going, bro? We're gonna go to the kebab shop, bro. Like, what's going on, cuz? He's like, this is what I'm talking about, cuz.
But I kind of like what he does in the fact that he goes to like, I get like
he puts on for
ghettos.
other restaurants.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like he like tags them and shit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like,
but I mean, I like the fact that he goes to a lot of like ghettos and struggling areas in different parts
Yeah.
of the world as well,
he shows
which is
me.
kind of like, yeah, I guess when you've grown up in that side of that side of the tracks
Yeah.
where you are, it's like it makes sense if you're going to go around the world, like go see the shittier parts or the quote unquote shittier parts.
Well, it's nice because, well, obviously, like he's a changed man at this
Yeah,
point. And if you're watching this or listening to this, check out Spanian. It's actually a very interesting dude. He used to be a criminal for like his whole life,
Yeah, something
for
like
like
that.
30 years, and then he was in prison for like 13 years
Yeah.
straight, like for different things. Like he came from a criminal past, like his family and everything like
yeah.
that. Lived in the ghetto in Sydney, I think Bankstown.
I think
Somewhere-
I think
somewhere in
Banksy.
Sydney,
I think
whatever.
wherever the
In
west
the-
is. Yeah,
in
yeah.
the hood of Sydney. Sydney, bro. Sydney,
bro?
brother. Yeah. Bro, I grew up in the suburbs, bro. In the fucking hood, bro.
You're really nailing this,
I'm
man.
trying. I just love it. I love the accent so much. But anyway, so yeah, he's just like, he's a very likable guy. Honestly, I love watching people that are. Isn't that weird though? Like the fascination, especially nowadays, with watching other people eat food. In general.
That's wild, man. Well, that only started. I remember when it kind of was kicking off, and it was like you'd get all the like Korean food bloggers that would be literally like silent, sitting
Yeah.
in front of a screen, just eating, making ASMR slurp sounds. Which
Are you gonna go?
is like, yeah, and just live streaming that. And
No
it's
idea
just
what's going on.
I don't know what's going on. I'm like,
But
why
like,
are we watching this?
I can't
just
stop
get
watching.
fucking hungry. Yeah, but now food blogging around the world is insane. But it makes me go because I like when I travel, I like eating fucking random shit.
Like, are you a foodie in that way, or like you don't give a fuck?
Yeah, I like food. It is definitely a vice of mine.
Well, you're not like, oh man, like fucking creme brulee, fucking compote.
No,
like
I'm not a
shit.
snobby foodie. Like I like to eat bad shit too. I like mostly eating bad shit. I like
Oh, so
to.
you like fucking destroying your system.
Yeah, pretty much. My system. This is the thing. This is the way I look versus the way I eat. It's
completely different.
completely unaligned, man.
Well, because you look fit though.
Yeah, I look fit. I'm not fit.
Like
I'm
you
not
don't
fit.
have abs or anything.
No, I've got a gut.
You have a gut?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've got a
mini gut.
Yeah, and it's the way I eat. I'm lucky I'm tall because it should be
Right.
my gut would be a lot bigger.
True. It doesn't really show
Yeah,
because you're so
yeah.
tall.
And
you have a long torso.
And
too.
if I exercise regularly, which I don't as much as I should,
Right.
I walk a bit and I occasionally gym, but I'm not like hard into it. I don't have the motivation, which I need to develop. But it's like,
well, you're
bro,
40, so
I know
it better come soon.
It better come soon, bro. But it's just like when I go to my gym and I see like there's a few dudes in their like mid 40s and they're just jacked. I'm like,
Crushing.
yeah, I could do that. I could be that guy.
Right.
And then I see like, people in their 20s just doing the same and I'm like, oh, maybe it's easier when you were back. Like, I used to work out a lot. I did used to exercise a lot more, but now I've just got very comfortable.
Why? What do you think that is?
I don't know. I think
Life is just getting to you?
I think life as a comedian kind of throws your body clock off as well.
For sure. It definitely.
It was
discourages
weird because when I kind of started, because now comics are all like hot and jacked, right?
Well,
Now-
there's more comedians have gotten way more into mental health and
everything.
living a healthier
Yeah,
lifestyle.
which is great for
It's good.
them. Terrible for comedy. Because
true.
remember, just a bad lifestyle was so much fun.
So funny.
It's like they just had to live for one
Yeah.
night, and it's like it was the great.
Benders.
But I came like when I started watching comedy, which was like the early 2000s and 90s and stuff. No comedians were healthy, right?
No.
And when I started doing comedy, still mostly comedians weren't the healthiest, but it started transitioning in the like maybe 2016, 2017 when all comedians started to get more jacked and ripped and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and sexier and eat better. And like now you go to a comedy night, like out of the 5 comics, 10 comics on, one of them are drinking, 2 of them are having a drink.
Yeah,
Like,
barely. Yeah, no
yeah.
one's really like trying to have a bender,
No.
do a line of blow.
No,
Like
not at
that,
all.
it's a lost
strange.
art.
Yeah, and you missed that because that's where all the stories come from.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you
It's
got
like,
to
I
think
miss
of
the
your own
good old
material.
days.
Yeah, now you got to have opinions and think of shit.
He was like, I don't
Yeah.
give a fuck about your cold plunge, dude.
I've heard so
Live a
much.
shitty life.
Yeah, we know which podcast you listen to, all right? We get it.
Yeah.
Just do some bad shit.
Okay, man. You have
drink,
scientific
drive.
evidence from Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
We know, okay?
Drink, drive, and run over someone.
Do a shot of heroin
Yeah.
in a
In your
back
face,
alley.
just like,
Tell-
make out with a junkie in an alleyway.
Please tell me
Just
how a
do
junkie
that.
spat on your face and you
I
licked
want
it
it.
off.
I want the adventures. I want to hear the stories. I'm not helping it one bit because I just get tired after a gig. And I'm like, and especially if I have a beer or two, then I'm just like, all right, it's Wednesday. I'll go home.
Yeah.
Um,
Were you ever like that? Did you ever have like a rough past and like that's why you got into comedy, or you just kind of enjoyed comedy just in general?
Enjoyed comedy, like every ethnic immigrant. I'm sure a lot of inbuilt trauma is there from
Yeah.
from expectations of parents. My parents were great. There's no I never had any serious or scarring trauma, but there was always the criticism and the expectation kind of trauma that brown people usually have.
A little bit of gaslighting.
Yeah. I never had a troubled past,
Right.
I listen to more music with people of troubled past, and
Right.
I'm
in
like,
the hood.
oh, you know what? I would have accomplished so much more if my life was more fucked up, So it sucks that my parents looked after me and treated me well and gave me a good education and stuff like that.
So traumatic.
Yeah, I know. I wish I had more trauma. But I didn't. I think comedy was just like I was always into it. And also it's kind of like doing comedy, you kind of feel, it's one of the few things I feel like I'm good at, even though I'm fucking shit at it. Oh, wow.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, it is pretty funny.
The fact that you're self-aware of that actually makes you funnier.
I'm well aware that, I'm a waste of potential. If I worked a little bit harder, I could be so much further in my career.
That's funny.
But which is always, I've never, maybe there's something out there, but I do love comedy when it's good. There are times where I'm like, fuck. Especially when there's not as much new stuff coming out and I'm doing the same old gear and I'm doing the same gigs and I'm like, is this all? Is this all there is? So you got to change it up, and that's only what you fucking do. But then it's like, I've worked in like, before comedy, I was doing like corporate jobs, and from day one, I didn't like any of that shit. I just did it because that's what I studied, and I just studied that because I'm like, oh, that's what you do. I didn't take an active choice. Like I could, if I thought about what I wanted to study after school or something like that, maybe I could have found something I genuinely enjoyed. But like then I just ended up doing like office jobs, and it was just like, fuck.
Brutal.
Yeah, I used to find ways to not do as much work.
Oh, I know. I know how that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Sneak around everything.
Yeah. And then do as little as you can to not get fired.
Oh my God.
And then eventually quit. Yeah.
That's so bro, that's like a classic for my
bare
life.
minimum. Like
classic for my life.
So many performance appraisals are just like, you're doing just enough. Like any less, like we'd have a different conversation. I'm like, just have that conversation. I need to kick up the ass.
No, I get that, man. Do you ever feel like you made the wrong decision going into comedy?
Every single day of my life. Every single day. Every single fucking day. I feel like this is a terrible idea. I feel like it still is a terrible idea. Even if shit kicks off and I make a relatively comfortable living from it, I'll still think it's a bad idea. And I think that is a good mindset to have, because that's a growth mindset, brother. And that's the mindset you got to have to keep making changes and keep reinventing yourself. No, I just regret everything. I have my mindset is just like, I think it's something that I joke about. I can joke about a lot, but also I think it's a real struggle that I doubt everything that I've done. Imposter syndrome, you doubt. Even when things have gone well, you make accomplishments, you're like, no, you don't deserve that. Or this is why that was shit. This is why, even though that seemed to go well on paper, it was actually quite shit. And you know why. And it's just like that self-defeatist, self-critical fucking shit. I don't know. Comedy is just like, financially, obviously, it's still a question. And it's also like lifestyle. Like I, right now, don't have a day job. I'm not against it. It probably would give me a bit more structure in my life. But I also like the fact that on a random Thursday, I can wake up, have the day free, and actually do something that would normally be busy if I did on the weekends, and I can do it on a Thursday. Do I always do it? No. Am I that disciplined and as adventurous as I'd like to be? No. I'll just probably go get a banh mi from a restaurant near me and then go sit in my room for another 3 hours. But
sulk away.
Yeah, but I do sulk away and regret every life decision. I go, you know what? If you stayed in your corporate job, imagine how much money you'd have right now. But
you'd be even more miserable doing that.
Completely, yeah. And you'd have a comfortable lifestyle, but you'd probably be eating worse and drinking worse. And
developing more problems.
I don't know. Yeah.
At least now, when you're doing comedy, you're at least doing something that's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're still enjoying it.
That's the crazy thing. It's insane that you kind of, when you do it for so long and it kind of is flatlines for a bit, you're like, what are you doing? Why am I doing this? But then you go, and when you get to a point where you are somewhat regularly getting paid or doing stuff within the arts or comedy where you're getting paid for, and you just have to, I took a step back last week. I was filming some stuff, and it was like, just took a step back. I'm like, fuck, I'm getting paid for this shit. I'm getting paid. You have to take yourself back to 8 years ago or 7 years ago when you were doing a full-time job going, fuck, I wish I could get out of this shit. And you're like, okay, you're not getting paid heaps, but when you're getting paid This is like
for having fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
So that's what that is, though, is having that perspective.
Yeah, dude.
Is constantly reminding yourself that, like, okay, man, like, it's not
It's easy to forget.
easy.
And it's easy to forget when, like, stuff's a bit quieter, and especially, Melbourne winter.
Believe me.
Things, yeah.
No, I know all about that. Yeah. But
how long have you been doing comedy?
Since I started making content in 2014.
Yeah.
But, like, I started doing stand-up 2015.
Yeah.
But I don't really count the pandemic because I didn't do any stand-up at all or
Yeah.
live performance for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So, like, really, it's been like 8 years,
Yeah.
I'd say. But it's just unnatural because you're so used to structure from day one.
Yeah.
Going
Of
to
life,
kindergarten
yeah.
to daycare to
Yeah.
fucking grade 1, 2, right? You know what I'm saying? All through high school.
Yeah.
And then, like, now that you're doing things on your own, like doing comedy or, making videos and stuff like that, it's not natural.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of life, it's still very new. It's like,
Definitely.
no one knows how to really moderate it and to continue it on a consistent basis.
Oh,
You just have to,
completely.
like, structure your own life in a way that's seemingly comfortable
Yeah.
to, like, maintain. But along the way, there's no one to help you.
No, there isn't.
You have to moderate. You have to almost, like, ground yourself in those moments of, like, doubt and desperation, and be like, all right, man, just keep going. Like, but
this is where before we started this chat about community kind of came in, because it's like you do, and you probably notice it a lot more. You're completely policing your entire career, and between you and your, I mean, you've got your bro, which
manages me,
which is dope, and that's kind of great. But a lot of comedians and a lot of people in music or whatever that are solo and doing pretty much everything solo. Yeah. You don't have anyone kind of keeping you accountable,
bouncing off ideas, fucking.
And I feel when I'm not keeping myself accountable, which is a lot of the time, I'm structurally retarded. It's like I feel like I'm like, what am I doing today? What am I doing tomorrow? And it's like, okay, all you got to do today is plan the next 3 days. And it's just like you never do it because you're like, I'm free. And I'm like, you're not. If you're completely free, you're not going to get anything done.
No, and you're not going to sustain a proper lifestyle to live.
Yeah, but when you have that community around you, whether it's your work, it's like you do at least got to be somewhere.
Yeah,
and you got to report to someone.
Right.
I mean,
but there's what I'm saying. There's pros and cons of both.
Yeah.
But I do think the reward of working for yourself is way grander.
Completely, because it's all you. It's your stuff. It's you.
And it feels sweet. But at the same time, you're always constantly at the back of your mind. It's that anxiety of, like, fuck, man, like, I have to, like, make something happen.
Yeah.
You're constantly thinking that.
Yeah, and you are kind of like it's. I don't think you're ever exclusively working for yourself, because I mean you're kind of making stuff for your fans, for your people. It's like
that too. Yeah, it's like, but that's the other thing is maintaining that artistic integrity.
Yeah.
Throughout the process, and making sure you don't slowly turning into catering towards other people.
Yeah,
you have to still maintain your own interests.
I think I completely agree. But then there's that borderline of being completely narcissistic and also understanding that you're still an entertainer. Because it's kind of like, I find there's a lot of, especially with people getting online celebrity now, their whole MO and their whole vibe is just this complete narcissism. And it's like, but nothing you say or do, I don't know how it works. I don't know why that generation is like that. But sometimes I watch people and I'm like, there's nothing entertaining about your life. And you just, I don't know.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't know how to say this, but I sometimes see people, and maybe it's just me going, I don't get that. But it's like people are just giving them, they've got thousands and thousands of followers, and they're not doing anything funny. They're not doing anything that, like, talented. It's just like, this is what I did today.
Oh, you're talking about, like, vlogs or, like?
Sometimes, I mean, influencers.
Oh, just like, you're talking about influencers.
Yeah, influencers and people who kind of create content without
having a talent.
Yeah, without having an ability to go, this is comedic, or this is like stuff like watching people getting famous from react videos. Right. And it's just like there's a video in the background.
I know.
It's not original content, but it's here's somebody with 500,000, and if they did a live show, they'd sell out a 2,000 seater. No one would know what they're going to do.
That's what I'm saying, but they can't.
And they can, and they'd love it, and it's wild that exists, because part of me is like, fuck, because there's some amazing comedians out there with no
Zero.
following. Couldn't sell out a 30-seater venue, but I would watch them for 2 hours straight. And then there are other people that are like, I can't stand 30 seconds of what you have, and they've got like 5 million followers.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like,
I think it's broken.
well, I don't think it's broken. It's just like, it's a testament to human nature and human psychology.
Yeah.
Because the people that they watch online that are just, they don't have talents.
Yeah.
But they're just doing random videos like
Well, it just
reactions.
feeds into the algorithm, and it feeds into your algorithm, and it just goes, it's just there, and I'll watch it.
Yeah.
And then you end up, you know.
It's easily digestible content, and then people who are watching this and giving the views and the follows and the subscriptions or whatever, it's just like easily digestible content that they don't have to think about. But like they're not talented. It's just for some reason humans are so curious, and nosy, and they just want to know what the fuck this person's doing. Happens to me all the time. I'm scrolling through TikTok,
100%,
and then I see some guy, like I see a guy's like face, like filming himself, looking at the video that like is on the screen as well. And I'm like, what is this? Yeah. And then I find myself like watching this for 5 minutes and about nothing.
I hate it. I hate that I'm stuck there, because it's usually just as I'm trying to get to sleep.
Oh my God!
I don't know if people love it. No, I think people are conditioned to.
They can't not watch it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
it's the algorithm. It's the disease. Yeah. Of the social media algorithms.
Yeah, there's this one guy on, I think he's on YouTube or TikTok, just does shorts, and literally he looks like a nerdy dude dressed in construction gear, and all his videos there's a construction fail, and he just makes this weird face reacting to it. Right. Got thousands of followers, and then I'm reading. I do the mistake sometimes of diving into the comments.
It's nonsense.
So I'm like, I want to hate this fucker, but he still is on my algorithm. Yeah. And then people are commenting. It's like, this guy's just reacting, and they're still fucking watching. And the algorithm feeds it. And then all you got to do is sit there and add up how many hours. If not only like screen time and YouTube time and app time, I think there should be a counter adding up how many hours you watch on certain people that are in your algorithm that you followed. And just nonsensical. It's like, how many hours have I spent watching this dude that just does facial features to different videos that have already been created? It's like, this would kill me. It's not even written on your resume as an extracurricular activity, and it's taking out 4 hours of your fucking day.
It's ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah. I think I'm just waiting for the great collapse. I'm waiting for just everything to break down or the machines to completely take over. This goes dark real quickly, by the way. But it's just
we love it.
Yeah, but it's just like, I'm just waiting for shit to fucking combust. Because I do feel that people are obviously realizing it, but are they changing their behavior? No. It's just like, I just watch videos for 8 hours. It's not, I'm fucked up. And I'm like, we're all fucked up. Let's break it. Let's break it somehow. But before we do that, let me just watch this guy, fucking play with Japanese mochi for fucking 8 hours.
Some girl on TikTok live staring at a wall.
The worst thing for me is the ones that people are just influencers where they're not even doing or saying anything. They're just miming an audio track, a vocal track, whether it's a song or movie quotes, and they're just and it just like what the fuck is going on?
It's crushing it.
And I'm like, oh, maybe they've got some videos that they do. And I'm looking through. It's all this, and then they do a little dance and they walk away.
Shake ass for like 2 seconds. 5 million likes. I'm over here busting my ass. Yeah. Creating original content.
Well, that's the thing. Obviously, comedy creators fucking make some shit. Like you do.
It's real talent. It's a real skill. Yeah. But
every time I'm like, let's fucking Firdi, come on, make some stuff. You got to start making content and videos. And I'm like, just get some tips from. And I'm like, I'll start and watch a couple of videos. And I'm like, fuck this shit.
Bro, legit. Like I there's been so many times where I'm literally in a groove of like daily content. I'm creating every day. I'm writing. I'm thinking of ideas. I'm sketching it out, filming it, editing it, putting effects, whatever it is, posting it. It's getting decent views. And then like after 3 months, nothing's moved. Yeah. And then I go watch one person literally slurping noodles. Yeah. On TikTok,
and it's over
7 million views, 30 million views. Fucking crazy amount of follows. They're probably making bank off of sponsorships. Yeah. For just eating. And I'm like,
it's
should I
wild.
just start eating? I literally told him like last month, I was like, I'm going to start posting me eating food.
Yeah.
From now on. I have a lav mic.
Yeah.
I have 3 videos right now. In
Yeah.
the bag. I posted one recently
Of you just eating.
of me just eating food. I'm going to start doing it. I don't
How'd
give a
it
fuck.
go?
I'm done.
Did you get clicks? How'd you get?
Nothing. It was like 700 views the first video. I created a new account. But
Okay.
I'm going to start posting them regularly and just see what happens.
See what happens.
'Cause,
Yeah.
like, man, like at some point,
But what's it going to prove
What's
to you? Just how fucking stupid
dumb
and
the
dumb,
algorithm
yeah,
is.
the algorithm and
but you know what?
society
I'm
is.
scared I'll get pissed.
Yeah.
Because if that does better than any of my comedy I've been doing for the past 9 years.
It will break you. It will break you.
Like imagine I post the next 4 eating videos, millions of views, and I
Yeah.
start getting sponsorships from McDonald's or like whatever. Like here's $100,000 to eat in front of camera.
Yeah.
I'll be so mad, but I'll be like,
I mean,
pretty
you'll
happy.
take it. You will
I'll take
take it.
the
Of course,
money.
you'll take it. Yeah, yeah. Fuck
I
yeah.
was like, this is what I had to do this entire time.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna
then you
turn
go,
into fucking.
well, I'll take the money from this and I'll put it towards the stuff I really like doing. And you're like, no, you won't. Just make more fucking eating videos.
yeah,
It's just
seriously. And that's how you turn to a villain.
yeah.
I'm gonna turn into the Joker.
You kind of look like a. What we do need is a more ethnic villain. We
You want
kind
to
of
know
do.
how I got these scars?
yeah,
You like that joke, eh?
I like that.
Remember
yeah.
that the show I did at your
Yeah,
Lido or whatever?
yeah.
That was fun.
That was great. You
Yeah.
fucking.
That was one of
killed
the
it.
first times I did that joke. Actually,
Yeah, how's
I
it been going?
crushed.
Did you do it in your solo
I've been doing it
shows?
on my shows and it's
Yeah.
crushing.
Dope.
It's been so good.
That's
yeah.
great.
I'm happy about it. Yeah,
It's a good test
Good
of
one.
that gig.
yeah, it's good. But that was your room was fun. You did a show in a cinema.
Yeah,
Lido
not
Cinema.
yeah, Lido Cinema in Hawthorne.
It's,
every Tuesday. We do it. There's a little jazz room. We do it in.
Yeah, it's in the side room in the main area or the foyer.
Yeah, yeah. So they do jazz there on the weekends and they do comedy on Tuesday, and it's a
Good room. It's nice.
killer little room, little intimate room, and yeah, and then occasionally we'll do a big show in the actual cinema.
Oh, really?
We'll get like headline acts in, and we'll do.
Okay, cool.
But doing a gig in a cinema is always a bit weird.
Yeah, it's actually
Yeah.
set up really well though because of the seating.
In
It's like theater
the
seating.
jazz room, yeah.
No, in
it's
the regular.
it's
room,
set
in the
up, but
movie.
here's the issue, and a lot of comedians will agree with you on this.
The screen?
If they're there for a headliner, great, because
Yeah.
they're there for that person, that's how those gigs run. But if you just ran a gig in a cinema and people don't know who the acts are, it's going to be a challenge because people are comfortable. People are really comfortable and
it's like
laid back.
They're like, okay,
Cinema
true.
seating is like you're
It is
too
true.
comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like if you want people to be engaged in an audience, obviously you want them to be comfortable, but don't have really comfy seats, don't have them low, and keep it cool in there. Do not get hot, because it's like when you're cool, you're on edge, you're ready for
That's
shit.
true.
You're
That's
like,
true.
you get too comfortable and lazy, it's no
Yeah,
good.
I know.
I've done gigs in a cinema where there's no headliner per se, and they're all crushes. Like I bombed
Yeah.
like a motherfucker,
Right.
but like even the headliner, like you had to struggle to get them in because they're just so far back and laid back.
Yeah, it's a lost cause.
But it's there. Like I get why you do it, because it's a stage. There's there's the patch at the front, and
Yeah.
then there's 100, 200 seats. So you do a show.
Yeah, man. What's your? Do you ever think you think you're gonna do comedy like forever?
I don't know, man. I was thinking about that the other day.
Do you
It's
think
like,
you'll give up at any point?
I don't know if I'll give up. I think maybe like there's a chance I'd give up comedy, but I'd still want to create like
Some artistic thing.
something. Like I get, and even we talk shit about creators and stuff like that as we have in the last 5 minutes. But I'm just like,
Sounds
sometimes there's like, for instance, there are travel dudes online that I just stumble across sometimes. I'm like, this is fucking cool, because like there's a place in the world that I'd probably never go to, but now I'm exposed to it, and it's just like they found, in many ways, like if you want to take a positive spin on it, it's just like creating something from nothing has always been like a fascination of mine. So I think in some essence I'll still want to keep doing comedy for a long time. I don't think I could let it go. But whether it's like just stand up or doing other live shit or doing more of the acting stuff. I mean, creating stories. This sounds like a wanky TED talk, and I'm sorry
It's
for
good.
everyone for this TED talk. But just creating stories or reflecting on stories. It's always a great thing.
What kind of stories?
Any stories, like people just making stuff up. That's what I mean. I'm like,
Like
that's,
you're saying you're into doing that? Like
I
into
I just think in general, just creativity is making a story, essentially. That's
Okay.
what I mean. I'm just like, and people do that through music, film,
oh
theater, and comedy. I think comedy is always for me because it adds the extra emotion of laughter.
Right.
Sometimes, which is essentially just an element of surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I could ever. I've always been into stuff. I've always been into art. I've always like when arts funding gets dropped, it infuriates me. When people like fast forward through a movie or like, there was an ex-partner of mine was just like, I think we were watching something. It's like, we can watch this in 1.5 speed. Let's just get through it. I'm like, this is the problem with content these days because they want you to keep going through it and cycling through it. No, watch it slow. Watch it
in real time.
Watch it the real time. And I remember just like, whenever stuff in the arts gets cut, whether it's music or whatever, like I'm a big music head, so whenever a venue in Melbourne gets shut down, it makes me sad. Like I'm just like, this sucks, man. But
you're like, what? You're like, why are people not going to live shows?
And at the same time, it is completely unnecessary.
What's
the
unnecessary?
arts is completely unnecessary.
What do you mean?
Individual creators completely unnecessary. As a whole, arts is very necessary. But individuals, when they start like at this moment, that's why I'm so conflicted because I'm like, there's so many like people making shit at the moment. I'm like, if one or two go, that's fine. But when a whole community gets like shat on, a whole arts community gets fucked off. I'm like, no, we need this. But then at the same time, I'm like, do you cut arts funding or funding to the medical industry? Oh yeah, cut the arts, bro. Cut the arts because we need the doctors. So it's kind of like I'm conflicted by that, but I'm just like, I watch a great movie and I'll think about it for. It's not just that was a great movie. Like I'm like, this shit has impacted me. So yeah.
Like, what do you mean, individual arts is unnecessary?
What I mean is just there's so many people. There's so many.
You think it's oversaturated?
I think it's stand up, comedy, music.
In general,
film to an extent, TV.
You
series.
think it's like bombarded?
I think it's excessive.
Really,
it is so much because look at your screen time between watching stuff on Instagram, YouTube, and watching a series. Like count down the hours you're watching a series, and all series now are made for continuation purposes.
True. Binge watching,
yeah. And it's just like
everything's made to binge.
I think it's saturated. That's why it's fucked me a little with stand up off late because I've been watching a lot of stand up. I'm like, yeah, I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen this, and it's stuff that I do too because I'll be on stage. I'm like, especially when you're hosting and you're doing a bit of crowd work, and you're like, I say. Like he goes, so you guys, how long have you guys been together?
I cringe every time.
And then he'd say something like, I don't know, you get that question all the time. So what are your greatest fears? And they laugh because they're like, we're not expected to answer that. I'm like, no, fucking answer it.
Yeah.
Because I know you've been together for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
You're going to say 3.5 years. You're going to say, and you're going to go, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I do it like, because I guess when you're hosting, it's a different ball game sometimes because you kind of have to be a bit more affable, a bit more.
Yeah. Personable with the audience.
You don't have to be, but you kind of have to be.
It helps. It helps.
You need to get them on your side, then you can start being a weirdo.
Yeah, exactly.
But then it really helps when you start to chat. And, crowd work sometimes is like, especially when you're hosting your own gig every week, it's like, you kind of do have to do the chats. I was like, yeah, do you guys know each other?
It makes me cringe the way you put it that way.
Yeah, it
I'm
really
like, it's
does.
true. It's like I was telling my friend Ryan last week. On the pod too, about crowd work clips these days.
Yeah,
are all just people matchmaking.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, yo, are you single? Yo, who else is single?
Yeah.
Yo, what kind of guys are you into? What kind of girls do you like? Yo, come on stage or come do this. Or
and it's
like, how long you been together? Like you said, like one person's like 3, and then another person's like and then you're like, hey, he's not on the same page. You guys better figure this out. It's like. Yeah. It's like the same shit every time, and like, I'm guilty of it too sometimes.
I haven't posted that many clips, but 3/4 of the clips I've posted, crowd work stuff, complete crowd work, and I'm like, because you don't want to burn material, or your material is like, how do you clip it down?
That's what I'm saying.
And it's like
and how fucking fast can you put out material?
Yeah, and you know
it's impossible.
I've seen people put like tons of put a new clip every day because they do a lot of riffing, and I'm like,
well, that's just too much.
Yeah, but half of these clips are dog shit. There's no laughs.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like that's the problem. Is something that we've been vetting a lot for ourselves. Is like that's why I don't post many stand-up clips at all.
Yeah, I've noticed
because it's like the standard has to be a little bit higher.
Yeah,
And for me, but also I think a lot of other comedians need to start looking at themselves a little bit more too and be like, dude, like, you're right. Like most of the stand-up clips I see from like, forget like the main like famous like top comedians, any even like top level, middle level comedians that are pros, but like not well known or whatever. I'm looking at some of these clips. I'm like, but like, it's not anything special.
Yeah.
It's just like a little bit of laughs here and there, but it's like, what is this?
Yeah, because
it's always the question I ask is like, well, but what was this?
Yeah.
Why did you post this?
Why did I? It's all for keeping
it's
relevant.
all just like, oh, like
presence.
I need to like let people know I'm like making people laugh.
And you have to keep staying on the algorithm and I'm like,
but it's exhausting. You're right, because you're getting bombarded.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
double-edged
now it's not
sword,
special.
because if you don't post, it's like you're out of the algorithm.
That's
and
what I'm
then you
saying.
post this banger clip, you'll get 200 views on an incredible joke.
Right.
Because you're not already on it. It's fucking crazy. It infuriates me because I don't post that regularly. And then when I do, I'm like, I get a few thousand. I don't get like crazy views, but I get a few thousand. I'm like, oh, that's because I posted one this week and I did one last week and I should do one next week. And then I haven't done one for like a month.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, which one do I have? And now I'm like scrambling to go,
constant anxiety.
And then I'm like, I can't do this because it's too long a bit.
Right.
And then I'm like, fuck. And then I'm like, oh, what was that? Because there's a show I did recently where an audience member literally walked through me on stage.
What?
The second I started, he just walked.
What do you mean through you?
Like he walked across the stage.
Like
and
on
walked
stage?
out. Yeah, and he walked on stage.
What?
The thing is, like, there was a reason for it. The stage was very small, and he needed to leave.
Okay.
And he didn't know the other way to go, so he walked deliberately across it. And it was literally 30 seconds in, and I'm like, I was taken aback by how close he got to me, and then I like. There's no other way to leave.
Right.
Oh, there probably was. He could have just walked through the audience, but he fucking walked across the stage, and I'm like, the fucking white entitlement by this dude. Like, it was just an old white dude, and I'm like, let's just wait for the brown guy to go on stage. We can fucking walk across him. And I hate that I played the race card, but it was so funny, and the audience fucking loved it.
Oh, you were saying that stuff on stage?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I hated that I played that.
No, that's fine.
But the audience loved it, and I'm just like. Because I was going on that stage going, oh, I'm a bit bored of my material. What am I going to do tonight?
Yeah.
And he gave me this fucking
Beautiful,
prize. And I'm like, I'm posting that because that was funny.
Okay. And you posted it?
I'm waiting for the clip to come through because it's from a bigger venue.
What do you mean it's a big? Oh, like you didn't film it yourself?
I didn't film it. They filmed it for me. So
okay.
I'm waiting for the edit and stuff like that.
Which will take forever because we're Australian.
They
take forever.
Completely. Everything takes forever. But then I'm just like, I've seen some people put clips where it's like, they either fuck around with the editing or they fuck around with
like
graphics,
subtitles.
And it's just like, okay, it's worth watching because it's a little bit different, you know. And it's just like you're making into like I don't know.
It's like there's a lot of incomplete videos.
Yeah.
Where it's like not really like a joke. It's just more so like, oh, this person just said something wacky.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like it's funny, but like.
The audience did most of the work there or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
It's really funny. I went and saw Maria Bamford a couple of weeks ago and
nice.
she did a bit of crowd work. And then at the end, after talking to this lady, she just gave her $50 because she's like, comedians seem to be putting a lot of crowd work videos up and not, giving the actual person that did the actual work the credit they deserve. So she's like, here's $50.
Okay.
If this goes on the internet, you've been paid.
That's funny.
I mean, it was really funny. The crowd went off, and the comics that were there, we were just like almost standing ovation because it is
something new. I've never heard that.
It's
before.
true. It's like there's a couple of the clips I've posted. I'm like, if that person didn't say that,
this wouldn't have been.
Wouldn't have been that funny.
It's true.
Yeah,
that's happened to me too. Like, it's true. The couple of clips I have posted that have done really well.
Yeah,
it's like they set me up.
Yeah,
to be
pretty much
to be funny.
Yeah. And then it's like comedians will argue. It's like, well, you asked the question. I'm like, yeah, but if you didn't get it's my job. But if you didn't get a good answer, you wouldn't have posted.
No, you wouldn't have. Yeah, exactly. And most of the time, you're not going to get a good answer.
And then then the other end of the sword is that then people come to the show expecting crowd work,
right,
or ready to be vocal,
right.
And sometimes that's great. A lot of the time, it's fucking frustrating because there's somebody. And it's often young people who are just like, we've seen comedians on TikTok posting crowd work, and it's like, let's have a yap straight through the start of the show. I'm like, motherfucker, please.
Yeah.
And it's nice sometimes when you can completely shut them down and shit on them. Because it's great. Because it's like, I reacted to that. That was great. Of course you can. It happened on the weekend where I had to shut a kid down.
Oh, really?
Fucking, it was so funny. It's like within 30 seconds of me being on stage. It was a country gig. 30 seconds. I wish I filmed this. But within 30 seconds of me being on stage, I barely even started material. He just looks at me and goes, "Is that nose real?"
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. He looked at, I don't know
That's
how
crazy.
that came. It's crazy
How many
because
people were there?
there was about 60, 70,
Oh, wow.
but most of them were in their 50s plus. And then there were these two 16-year-old kids that yelled out. And then I ripped into them for 2 minutes for going, "Why are you hanging out with senior citizens, you fucking creeps?" Or you're losers that you can't, like, whatever it was, whatever the jokes were, I can't remember. But it seemed to go well with the old people that were there.
Of course.
But it was just like, this kid has clearly seen a lot of TikTok.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and he's just watched stand-ups get, like, yelled at or, you know, doing crowd work. He's like, that's it immediately.
So he probably, like, had that in his mind and be like, oh, like, I'm going to be a part of this clip. Like,
Yeah, I'm going to chat to this guy. But
because that's what they're used to seeing online, which is actually, it's pretty interesting because, like, I guess that's a part of younger people's cultures now.
Yeah.
Growing up. That was never a thing when I was growing up, or you growing up.
No.
Like, crowd work clips were never a thing.
Yeah.
But, like, when you watch stuff, you're like,
it was
you
a
grow up with
joyous
the culture,
moment.
right?
Yeah.
So, like, them seeing all the clips, they think now, oh, this is how comedy shows are now.
Yeah. Well, crowd work is still, you know, in a whole hour comedy show for most comedians, it's still the rare part. It's the
small part.
It's the small part of the show. You know,
Right.
if you're emceeing, maybe it's a little bit more.
Sure.
If it's like a lineup show, maybe there's a bit more of that.
Yeah.
But now it's like, if you see somebody's full hour show, I mean, you probably only have a couple of minutes of crowd work, if it happens.
If it happens. But no, it's like I have a certain parts in an hour where, like, I'll make a break in the material and be like, I'll just talk to a couple people like, real quick to set me up for the next joke.
Yeah.
Not because, like, let me just do some crowd work.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that because I do think at this point crowd work should be a little bit curated. Like, it shouldn't be random.
Yeah.
Unless
exactly.
you're like Schultz or like someone who, like, is fucking really good on the fly.
Yeah.
It's like it's not easy. It's like you
it's
still want
not.
to be like you still want to make sense.
Yeah.
Make it flow, and eventually make it funny by the end of it, and, like, close it out and then move on.
But it's weird how, like, generous crowds can also be, which I guess is a nice thing. But it's like, I've seen comedians do is like, "So what do you do?" And the the audience will mention their job, and the comic will literally be like, freeze and, like, legit say, I don't know anything about that. I don't know what to say.
Right.
And the audience will laugh at the fact that he's an idiot, or and it's
they're
like
just nervous and uncomfortable. That's why.
Yeah, and it's
'cause
wild.
They cringe.
And, like, real crowd work, you'd kind of probe a bit more. You have patience, and you go, you don't have to get the laugh straight away.
No.
You can probe, and then you find the bit that's like, okay, I can give shit to that.
Well, that comes with being more prepared with, like, the questions, and, like, knowing where you're taking it.
Yeah, but
it shouldn't
then
be random.
Audience can be really nice because they're like, oh, if he doesn't know, that's funny.
Yeah, but then it could also go the other way where they're like, what the fuck is this guy, like, it's silence, and they're like, oh, okay, that's kind of awkward. Like, why did they got? What was that? And that just makes it weird, and it makes it worse.
No, completely.
You know what I'm saying? So, like,
but yeah, you're right. It's just like I've done a show where I've had people come from my weekly show come down when I did my festival, my solo show last year, and on the opening night, like, it was a group of 4 that came to my Lido gig, my Tuesday gig, which I MC a lot, you know, where I'm fucking around, where I'm talking to the audience. I'll do maybe 1 or 2 newish bits, and then I'll bring the acts on. And they go, oh, wow, this was really different to when we see you at Lido. You know, you're kind of at Lido, you talk a lot of shit and you fuck around a bit more. Whereas, I mean, it was my opening night, so you're kind of always a bit, first time doing the show, you're like a bit, but you're like, yo, you were really, like, material heavy and, like, really focused on the structure. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what comedy is mostly. Like, yeah. Like, I don't mind. I love fucking around. I love letting the show go haywire. But also, like, it's so different versus some of the stuff you see online versus coming to an actual show. And people don't know that. And they expect a lot of talking shit. If you're a comedian that can do a whole show of riffing and talking shit, fucking great.
Yeah, like Kyle Legacy.
Yeah, like Legacy, of course.
De riffing.
Yeah, I'll have a chicken and a goch. That's how you do that accent.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
So what do you do for work?
Yeah, and have you had him on the pod?
You're a fucking accountant.
You're a fucking accountant.
Fucking hell.
Fuck that, you're fucking...
Yeah, fuck it.
I didn't know the show was going to be full of nerds. Have you had him on this potty?
Yeah.
He's
one of the
great.
first people, yeah.
Isn't he one of the worst people in the planet? No, he's great. He's
fucking
great.
funny, man.
And
He's just
I've seen him go, like, first time I saw him do an hour, I'm like, no way this guy can do an hour.
Yeah.
And he smashed it, like,
Right.
completely. He had, like, a room of fucking 30. This is, like, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Fucking tore it up. And I'm saying that directly. If Legacy, you ever see this, you are good at crowd work. And
Yeah.
congratulations
He's
on
not
your
watching
career.
this. Yeah.
He won't watch it,
watch
but,
it.
you know,
Yeah.
maybe he will.
Comics don't watch other comics.
Hey, if his name comes up on the algorithm,
That's
he's
true.
gonna watch it,
That's
bro.
true,
He's
yeah.
you have
That's
a
right.
big ego, Legacy, but you're gonna watch this. But you're
That's
great.
right. I'm a
That's
fucking
right.
F king.
No, I did. I think I went to Scottish. I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
you did it, Scottish, yeah.
Anyway,
It's more Liverpool.
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 Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm being serious. I'm being fucking serious.
Are you fucking serious?
Sadio Mane, greatest fucking football player in the
Have
world.
you spent a lot of time with him?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you sound like you have.
No, I just...
You
well,
pick
I
up
wasn't-
accents real quick,
I just
don't
pick
you?
up accents real
Yeah.
quick. But I was with him in Perth for like the whole month. Like
Yeah.
we did a couple shows on the road. Like talked to him a lot. Like,
He's a good boy. That
but
guy.
he's nice. He's not honestly a nice guy. I have nothing bad to say. But I don't know anyone
Imagine
else who
you
can do
had
that.
bad shit to say about him, and this
What?
was the rest of the podcast, just shitting on Legacy.
Yeah, we spent an hour and a half
Yeah.
just to get to the
And
end.
once again, he'll listen to it. Yeah.
But he honestly, he's one of the only people who keeps it real, which I
Yeah.
actually really appreciate and
I like-
respect
yeah.
about that.
Hell yeah.
Well, like he'll just say stuff to your face, and like sometimes it can be harsh, but I'm like, well, it's actually at least he's being real.
Oh no, exactly.
I'd
man.
rather that than someone talk behind my back.
Wait,
and
what are you
stuff.
talking about? Are you saying in comedy people talk shit behind your back?
Yeah. Oh, what?
What? What?
How could they?
Anyway, what gossip have you got about other comedians in this?
Yeah. That's for another episode.
Yeah, okay.
For
For the paywall, yeah.
that's it exactly for my Patreon. Have you ever gotten? Have you ever gotten like fangirls coming up to you ever after shows?
I mean, yeah. It's
Are you
happened.
single right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It has happened a couple of times. Not as many times as I would love it to happen, but it has
Not
happened.
enough followers, brother.
Yeah, fuck no. Fuck no. As soon
Brother,
as-
you need new followers.
I know. What do I got to help
Cuz-
me, man?
cuz-
I bet you as soon as you said yes to this podcast, you looked up how many followers. Like, this guy hasn't even cracked 2K. Fucking what? look at
Yeah,
this
that's why I
fucking
keep delaying
amateur.
the podcast. We're
Yeah,
supposed to
it's
film
like-
last week, but I was like,
Like,
fucking hell,
hopefully
God.
you've tipped over. It hasn't happened regularly.
Budgie, cuz budgie.
Yeah, I haven't hooked up with anybody like directly after a show, but I have like chatted to somebody after a show and then got a number and went on a date and things went well. And then it's happened a few times where I'm like, they've come up to me, but I'm like, yeah, you're not my cup of tea. I'm good.
Wow, the audacity.
How dare they?
The audacity.
But how dare they even step to me? But I've had like one of the weirdest things was like I had somebody. It was weird. It was like I matched with them on a dating app, and they didn't like reveal. We were just chatting a bit, and then I got her number, and we were just chatting, and then she started just sending me links to my Instagram clips.
Okay.
And sending me links to like the few clips I've got on YouTube, which is not many, and I don't promote them. They were just there to send to like bookers and stuff like that. I'm like, why? And she's like, oh yeah, I've seen you perform a little while ago. I'm like, why is this like a sudden reveal? Like, couldn't you have just like, it's made it more creepy now. And I never end up going out with her because I'm just like, this is like, it's like you're surprising me with how much you've actually stalked me. And I'm like, you could have just said this at the start. And like, oh, I've seen you do comedy. It was just like this weird, like, sending me clips of, like, without even asking me if I do comedy, without saying she's seen me before.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it just came out of the blue. We were just chatting. And then
Yeah.
she started sending me this, like, after a gap of a day.
That's pretty odd.
Yeah, it is a bit odd.
Have you ever had any other weird interactions with girls after shows or like something like that?
No, nothing weird like that. I wish I had more stories like that.
Do you think like do you date?
Yeah, I date.
Like you're on
Sometimes
apps or
too
just in
much.
person?
Whatever works. Apps do, and I go in and out of them. Like
Okay.
I'll go through periods where I'm like, and then I'm like, I'll
Not
go
even
through a
looking?
period where like I've ghosted like 10 people because I'm like, I couldn't be fucked.
Do you
Having
think
chance.
by doing comedy it helps you or
I don't.
does not
this
help
is
you
the
with
interesting
dating?
thing. I don't. There's no on my profile or photos. There's never a comedy photo.
Yeah, that's good.
There was one for once, and it immediately invoked some curiosity. And I kind of don't like that.
Why?
Because I'm like, I want it to come out of the conversation. If they ask me
Naturally?
what I do,
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. But I just don't like,
You want to give it away?
because then it's like, often it becomes, it's like, oh, so you're going to put me in your act? I'm like, well,
Probably.
probably, or / you're not that interesting.
Yeah,
Nothing's happened.
Yeah.
It's not going in. So I just like, I don't know. It does engage some intrigue, you know, and I'm like, I'm sure everyone who is not a comedian, because when you're so involved in the world, it becomes your day to day. Like you're hanging out with comedians, comedy's everything. But then you forget, like, people, whether you're massive or you're, you know, just a regular Joe like me, it's like people are still intrigued by it. And people are still intrigued by the world of a comic, which is, you know what, in general, it's really just a lot of sitting. Most of the day, it's just a lot of sitting and an occasional walk, you know.
Right.
But like, you're really just often when you're writing, you're often behind a desk like anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not out like. But I just feel like people are intrigued by the stage, and you forget when it starts to become sometimes a job. You're like, oh yeah, this is pretty fucking cool.
100%.
Yeah, but then like I've done some TV stuff as well, and again, it's mostly commercials, bit parts in TV, but occasionally people have popped up to me after gigs and they're like, I've seen you in Auntie Donna. I saw you, and thank God you're here.
Yeah.
The weirdest one was so a few years ago I did this ad for a bank for Westpac. It was it was like the second ad I did, and it was massive. It was like a massive 3-day production. It was like special effects. The guys who I had prosthetic makeup done to age me. The guys who did my prosthetic makeup did all the prosthetics for Mad Max.
Oh,
So it's this wild experience. I was sitting on a makeup chair for like 5 hours getting prosthetics done. Basically, I was this guy in regional Australia, an immigrant in regional Australia, and they went through my whole life. Very cringy bank ad. It went from like emotion. It was very emotionally heavy though,
okay.
and I think it was tailored to older people because at the end it was my funeral,
Oh, wow.
and then it was my and it was the ad was basically like, you've been because I was such a nice guy throughout my life. It's like, you've helped so many people in your life. Let us help you.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know.
I don't.
It's the worst.
It's kind of fucked
It's so fucked.
for a bank commercial.
Yeah.
They're evoking all this sad emotion.
Well,
to
that's
people.
what they do. That's
And
what
they're like, hey,
banks
by the
do.
way, we can help you with your like finances.
Yeah,
dude.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yo, like, just come like invest your money into us.
Yeah, and that the emotions I had going through that ad, like, because before I'm like, I can't do a bank ad, but then I'm like, the money's good, and you're gonna do this, mate. Do it. It's good.
Yeah.
And then the experience was incredible. I met some very cool people on that ad, and it's just like it was. But then it's like, yes, you're a face of a bank, whatever.
Yeah.
But then I was so worried. I was so stressed that like, oh, people are gonna recognize me. People are going to see me, and I had this big curly moustache, and like, people are going to see me on the street and come up to me, and I'm going to be known for a bank ad, fucking hell. And I'm like, to be honest, I got heaps of texts from friends and people that I know on, you know, people from Facebook, and that's it. No one recognized me at all in public except 2 people.
Of course.
And one was just this random dude at a party. And then one was, I was at my local op shop, thrift store. Which
What's Up Shop?
a thrift store,
store.
yeah, for you. And I'm just going through the clothes rack, and this old lady that works there is just like kind of giving me a head tilt stare, just staring at me. I'm like, and I'm like looking. I'm like, oh, I haven't been looked at like I'm potentially stealing something from a long time.
Yeah.
For a long time, because I don't dress like I used to. You know, I used to dress a lot more hip hop, and I'm like. Maybe, like I was almost going to play she just being
racist,
like that card.
Yeah.
Which I rarely play. And then I just look, I'm like, hey. And she looks at me, she's like, are you on a bank ad? And I'm like, oh, yeah. And she just clutches her heart. She's like, oh my God. Every time I see that ad, a tear starts to well up and I start to cry. It's such a beautiful ad. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, so do you reckon you can get me a discount on this bomber jacket from $20 to like $5?
Right.
But she was just like, she was standing there going, you bring a tear to my eye every time I see you on TV. You're amazing on that ad. And it's just like this. She was probably in her mid-60s, and I'm like, I'm in, brother. I'm fucking in.
What's your
And
digits,
her husband's
lady?
probably dead. Like,
Wow,
so,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so I was in, man.
Because of the commercial then.
And you know,
Wow.
I fucked her. Yeah,
That's
very sloppy, brother.
exactly what I wanted
Yeah.
to hear.
She was a wildcat, man.
I bet she was.
She was, and obviously there were emotions pre-involved already. So yeah,
Crying the entire time. Yeah.
that's it.
Oh, you're
She's
such
like,
an ethnic immigrant.
Yeah, she bought me like a fake moustache. She's like,
Right.
put that moustache
Yeah, I need a
on.
role play.
I looked like a. It was like the moustache was like a Mario moustache. So it was
Oh,
a
okay,
big,
so like
thick,
nice
yeah.
one, a fat one. Yeah.
It was a fat one. So it was I was such an ambiguous ethnic.
I love it.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
Interesting. Have you ever like been on a date with a girl and like you told them you do comedy and like they're like,
100%.
really? You do comedy?
Yeah, they have. Because as soon as you
anyone
say that, it's either intrigue or it's like, oh, is this
one of
material? Am I going to be material? And I'm like, that's why it annoys me talking about it, because it's like comedy is such a like, oh, you talk about what happens in your regular life, and every comedian talks about dating. So people are obviously, and if you go out with somebody, it's interesting because in Melbourne, everyone is involved in the creative world somehow, especially inner Melbourne. So a lot of the time you'll meet somebody and you're like, I'm a comedian. And you're like, oh, cool. And because they're a musician or they're something. Like it like in a North Melbourne especially, it's like no one's like, oh, wow, you're a comedian. But then there's some people you'll meet and that you will go on a date and you're like, oh, wow. Or they're like, oh, so do you just go on dates and get material? And you can just tell where they're like straight up. And I'm like, motherfucker,
and they actually are like kind of turned off by it?
Yeah, and I'm in my head, I wouldn't want to be mean to someone, but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, be more interesting and maybe. It's like,
wow.
I wouldn't say turned off, but just like hesitant to start talking or
right.
hesitant to be like their full selves.
And
I'm not, no one's their full self on the first date, but
No.
I'm just like, well, let's just make this interesting. It's like, I don't know. I feel like they're in Melbourne, because so many people are involved in something creative, it doesn't throw them off as much. But like, you meet somebody who just has a boring 9 to 5 or a regular desk job, that are the people that are like, oh, wow.
But they also like, I feel like because...
Are you dating? Are you single? I guess
I am technically single. And this question has been asked a few times in the past few months. But like I'm talking to someone right now. So it's like exclusive.
Oh.
But we actually haven't...
Exclusive chats. How did you feel about... Or they feel about talking to me?
You?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Oh, sorry. I thought when you're saying exclusive, you're just allowed to talk to one person at a time.
Yeah, like...
I'm being very silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like right now we're exclusive.
Okay, cool.
There's no one else I'm talking to.
Thank you so much.
For this hour and a half.
I feel very privileged.
But no, like we like I'm not like on the dating block or anything. Like, I'm just talking to this one person. So
yeah. Is she? I'm assuming she, but are you straight? Are you?
No.
Okay, cool. All
Fully trans.
Oh, sweet. I can tell. I can tell. The beard.
See? Yeah.
Clearly, there you go.
Yeah, I talk like a woman, you know.
Yeah.
Had a little couple breasts.
Yeah, that's true. I got them too. So who knows?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I can be whatever. I'm 2SL.
Exactly.
LGBTQIA 2+AI.
In this day and age, brother, it's weird if you're straight.
Yeah, it's
That's
super
why
weird.
people look at me and they're like, "Fuck,
you're
straight,
a bigot
really?"
if you're straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're disgusting.
Or you're boring. That's the worst.
Yeah.
It's like, I wish I could not be straight, but I guess I am. This is the burden I've been given.
It's a nightmare for some people. Yeah. But no,
Is she back home or here?
Yeah, in Canada.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I've noticed the culture in Australia, because it's not really heavily into comedy.
Yeah.
That I feel like people would judge stand-up comedy. Like if you're on a date with a girl, I can imagine if I were to do that over here, even in Canada, to be honest, like some people, like a lot of girls, especially, I don't know, at least growing up, they're not really into stand-up comedy. You don't really meet a lot of like girls who are into stand-up comedy. Like, it's very rare, to be honest. Especially over here, I've noticed people don't give a fuck about comedy.
No.
So it's like, I can imagine going on a date here in Australia with a girl and you tell them you do stand-up. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what's your job?
Yeah,
Like, you know
well,
what I'm saying? Like,
exactly,
they wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
But like, if you do it in the States, they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Like in the States, it's very like, there's a lot of entertainers, a lot of artists, a lot of comedians, a lot of music. People like, they get it. Like,
I think Melbourne's a bit like that in certain pockets. But then you're right. Like you go on a date with someone, like that's the other reaction. There's obviously intrigue. There's obviously like if it's somebody who's also involved in the arts or creative, they're like, okay, that's cool.
Right.
But then there's also the other end of the scale where there's like, A, they don't assume that that's your day job, and B, immediately they're like, oh, well, this person is financially insecure.
They have all these questions in their head, like,
Yeah.
oh, but like, is
How
that
do
like,
you
what's your
live?
Yeah.
How do you like? And I'm like,
What's your
kind
real
of
job?
Meagerly, yeah, I live meagerly. That's how I do.
Yeah,
Pretty much
don't
from I
live,
live. Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
I suffer.
yeah. I pay
daily.
rent. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like they don't get it. And
But I love it. It's my passion.
Yeah, but it's just like I don't think I will ever end up with somebody who's got those very traditional like.
No, you can't.
And I don't think I'll end up with anybody, to be honest.
That's very apathetic.
Yeah,
But at least you're
not
honest.
in a negative way. Like I don't know if.
Like, I guess I'll be alone forever.
Well, I don't know if monogamy is like completely makes sense to me.
You don't believe in monogamy?
Until I don't think I don't believe in it. I just don't think it's as easy as everyone has found it. I think 50% of the people who are in long-term monogamous relationships are making do rather than have found somebody. This is a judgment. I could be wrong.
I can agree with that.
But
There's
50%, maybe even more, they're just making do. This is someone, and that if that's the perspective. But for me, I'm like, little things start to annoy me, and I'm like, well, you got to call it. You got to kind of like.
You gotta call it.
Yeah, because you go. I mean, I know I'm not getting any younger, and it's like sometimes I think it's like, what if I have a few like physical and health ailments, nothing serious, but I'm like, what if I'm old and I'm by myself? I'm like, well, you're gonna have to deal with it if this is the perspective you have, or you just have like I don't know,
right?
Live in a community.
Yeah, well, there's the divorce rates are like higher than ever. It's like 50% right now.
Yeah, so that's why I don't think traditional long-term monogamy is natural.
As relevant, natural right
now?
I
think
maybe before
quote unquote polyamory, whatever, call it what you want. I hate the term and I hate how people use it as an identity, but but also temporary monogamy. It makes more sense to me. It's just like people are meant to be in your lives for a short period of time. And that's it. That's with friends, that's with work people, that's with like you kind of people in there for a little while and then you move on.
I've heard that a lot, man. I've heard that a lot. It's interesting to think
even
about.
Sometimes, not with my family, because I think I'm pretty close to my family, but elements of my family, where it's like as kids maybe we were really close, but now you kind of like, and I think with some people they kind of, it's like family is forever or whatever, and it's like, but your family's real toxic.
Yeah, Vin Diesel, bro.
Yeah.
Family.
Wait. Oh, Fast and Furious. Never seen one of those movies, and I'm fucking proud of it.
No.
Never seen one of them.
You've never seen Fast and the Furious?
Yeah, I do want to see the one. Actually,
are you fucked?
Huh?
Are you fucked?
A little bit. Would you have me on if I wasn't fucked?
No.
Yeah. I've seen the Caliber, if you guess.
You've never seen any of the Fast and Furious
Not
movies?
one.
That's
and I refuse to. They sound terrible and look terrible.
Come on, man.
Which I want to see the worst one. That's it.
That's easily from the ones I've watched. Number, was it? Oh, definitely like I think number 8.
Yeah.
Fast 8.
I want to see
any of the last 3, to be honest, are
okay.
terrible.
Anything that's really terrible, I'll watch. I don't like watching just bad movies.
Right.
Bad movies have to be really bad for me to watch them.
Have you seen The Room?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Have you been to the live? You haven't been to the cinema experience?
For what?
For The Room?
No, I watched it in school.
Actually. Oh, dude. The cinema experience, it still happens, I think, once a month at Cinema Nova.
No way.
It's wild. I don't know if it's as crazy as it used to be, but when I used to go, on the way into the cinema, there is a large box of plastic spoons where you get to take a handful of them. And whenever, I don't know if you've noticed how many spoon references there are in the show, but there's a lot of spoon paintings and spoon. Whenever a spoon comes on screen, you get to throw. You have to throw spoons, and then it's crazy because what happens when cameras are off cut, when people are, like when Tommy Wiseau is kind of looking to the corner of the screen at no one, like 20 people from the audience will run down to the corner of the screen and just yell out, "Hi, Tommy!"
Oh, that's funny.
People are making out, like yelling out calls. People
that's
are
so
yelling
funny.
shit. It's incredible and it's wild if you go, because it's usually on like a late night Friday.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't been in about 7 years.
Oh, okay.
And I used to go quite often. It was crazy. One of the best one of the best nights I went. There was this American dude sitting next to me, and he was yelling out calls like every minute in the movie, and it's like he had a 50% hit rate, and I'm like, fuck. And then he'd savor it with like a really great one. I'm like, oh, yeah, all right, he's back. And then he ended like he nailed it at the end because the movie ended. And like he held his phone up with a Bluetooth speaker and started playing the Curb Your Enthusiasm thing. And I'm like, you nailed it. That's how you end it. And I've seen one where like when they do the weird fuck scenes, like two guys ran to the front of the cinema and just started wheelbarrow fucking each other.
Oh,
like,
I've seen that. I think I've seen a video of that. Actually.
Yeah, it's great. It's so
I think
good.
it went viral.
Yeah. It's if you get a chance, I don't know when and how often they do it. I think it's monthly, but it's still a wild experience.
That movie is so funny.
It's so good.
I've never laughed harder in my life than at that movie.
I think the first time I saw it at the cinema, the problem with going now is that if it's still as raucous as it is, you miss what's funny about it because people are yelling shit out and it's all chaos. Sure. So the first time I went, people were pretty well behaved. They were waiting for the right time because you got a pamphlet of when to yell out stuff.
That's funny.
Because they do it. When it started getting popular here, they had it pretty much every week, once or twice a week. So it's really popular. So it'd be regular and people were well behaved and they'd read the pamphlet. When this happens, yell this out. Or when that happens. Right. So it was good. So I got to hear the movie and then I watched it. I like downloaded a torrent. So I watched it. So I got all that, how funny it was. And then the second time you're starting to yell shit out, the chaos ensues. And then I went like 2 years later when it wasn't as frequent and it was all the old school like room traditionalists that were just going there and go fucking bonkers. It was like a party in there. It was fucking wild. I don't know if it's still like that, but you should go.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to do
Cinema Nova, I think, would still do it.
I mean, I'm not going to be here any longer, but
yeah,
when I go back home, I'll probably find somewhere. There's probably somewhere.
They'd definitely do it.
They probably, That's iconic.
I'm surprised my cinema hasn't done it occasionally, but they've probably done it once off here and there. But
yeah, probably. That's like one of the worst movies, but like the best movie I've ever seen.
That's the whole thing, isn't it? It's phenomenal. There's still the awe of mystery about how this guy got money to film this movie.
It's so
it
bad.
It wasn't answered in the biopic. Wasn't answered in any book.
Nothing.
It's just like
It's so bad. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's why it's phenomenal. It's just like even the long shots.
Have you seen the remake with James Franco? Like those.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They don't.
It was so good.
They don't explain anything though. It's just like they just exist and they're making the movie.
Yeah.
And like the weird thing is, it's just like when they're showing Tommy Wiseau at the end and the bloopers and the kind of, it's like he's weirder than the parody of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
so
wild.
Yeah, man. Well, I have to go watch that movie now.
Yeah, let's do it. I reckon you should.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Plug anything you want to plug to the camera.
If you're in Australia, if you're in Melbourne, I got a weekly show, Lido Comedy in Hawthorne at Lido Cinemas, in a little jazz room. Instagram Lido Comedy if you want to check it out. It's just $10 tickets. It's cheap. Neema's done it. He smashed.
It's fun.
And if you want to follow my Instagram, Firdflu, Firdflu, I will occasionally and be better at posting content. You can see where I'm gigging. I'm coming up. If you got any listeners in Darwin, I'm doing 2 solo shows in Darwin on the 20th of September. So come check that out if you're in Darwin. Do you have any listeners in Darwin, do you think?
Probably not, to be honest.
But
in Australia, I'm sure there's a few.
All right. If you're in Darwin, come down. I'm hosting Top Floor Comedy on the Friday, which is, I think, the 19th of September, and doing 2 solo shows on the Saturday on the 20th. So come on down.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah.
And in the words of Spanian, let's urge, brother.
Urge, brother.
Urge, cuz. It's
urge,
budgie, cuz. All right, lads.
All right, lads.
See ya. Let's urge.